$1 billion. $1 billion, what? Where? If you didn't sell it to stable coins, you guys would see zeros in that billion. It would literally be worth $1 million. That your thing. No, not 1 million. I'm sorry, that's 1,000 times there. But like 10 million, $50 million. Literally, that's how much it would be worth.
No, I know. I think people are just
Just the hex bridge.
undervaluing. I think
Just
you're
the hex.
undervaluing that. You're undervaluing what was
No, I'm
sacrificed.
valuing it completely to what it's valued at because you can't even sell that. You can't even sell it. He's gonna dump the
That's
price
what they
from
said with Hex, dude. They said the
99.9%.
same thing with Hex. And then
But what do you mean?
they said
You
you
go
can't
ahead
even
and
sell.
sell
You
it.
can't sell. It's so small. Like the price is so small. They said
But you
this
can.
years ago.
But what do you mean? How do you want to sell if it's not an OTC? Go sell
They
right
said
now,
there's not
100.
enough liquidity in Hex. You can't sell because if you have so many Hex coins, you can't sell. They said
No,
that.
no, no,
And
no,
then
no. That
eventually
value,
it just
that
grew.
that value, man. We're 63% of the hex supply is in 2 wallets, bro. You're telling me that we gave that money?
Allegedly.
The people that couldn't even provide 15% of the supply to stake, which like 30 to 40% of that is literally the OA. Come on, bro. Don't stop capping,
Yeah, but
man.
the OA is just an iPhone.
Bro, the OA literally has 30 to almost 30 to 40% of what's staked right now. The 7.4 billion that's coming out is mostly the OA. It's mostly the first addresses that interact with the hex deployer address. Literally, the ones that get fed from the 6.6 address.
Yeah, the daughter.
Literally, Gavin Woods was 4,000 ETH.
Okay,
Like,
and
he
are
can't
those
fool
getting
me.
moved? Are those getting bridged out? Are
Stop
they getting
saying
sold?
that.
I would have to check, Ash. Honestly, dude, I know I
They're
stream, but
not,
I want
man. I
someone
can
to
tell you
check.
they're not, man.
They're not? Okay, well that's good. Let's
I
get that
don't know that they
information
are.
out.
I mean,
But you see,
yeah.
that's reinforcement on our bags. To for me to come in and say, yo guys, 600 and something left and 700 came in and we're only at 85, me coming in and saying, hey, you make $700,000, you spend 600, you only have 85K in your bank account and you claim to be a millionaire. That's what I'm coming in to do because I want people like you who say, no, 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 no. The money's not doing shit. The money's making money, or the money is not moving and it's waiting. And the guy who has the money is this person who has this much of habits and he's been in the system for this and he's provided it then and done this. So most probably he's still in the system. That reinforces our bags as investors. But us not knowing what it is and having everyone just grab their balls and jump to the next shiny object just because they see numbers, and then certain people who've never made money in their life go ahead and jump on a stream to try to give you information about the fact that they're trying to make 1,000x so they can make it. Like, to me, that's bullshit, bro. Like, no one understands what's happening in this
Bro, you need
ecosystem.
to
And
say bro, you don't get it because you need to say never sell as you're doing that.
yeah,
What?
but Ash sounds like a gentleman who's never sailing, who's never gonna sell, who's
Not
ready to
much. No,
question
And
what I'm
I've
Jesse,
saying.
sold a
hey, we
lot.
need.
I got a question for Katie. I think she's pretty talented to answer this diplomatically. And so, my specific question with the birth of Pulsechain is: how do you feel about the security of Pulsechain, the validators of Pulsechain, the fork of Ethereum of Pulsechain, not housing the money that has been raised by founders?
Right, I should have known that's where this was going. I think you run into certain areas with that conversation because I don't think legally some people should move assets because I think that leaves them open to different legalities. Like, I don't think lawyers would advise them to do that. For other founders, look, I'm not really sure, right? Like, if you just want to talk from a technical standpoint, Omni Bridge is probably the best bridge around to fork. Like, the second one would probably be like the Near Rainbow Bridge because Near Rainbow Bridge had like a latency in its actual bridging platform. So like there was a delay period between like the receiving end chain, like when assets are actually bridged over. I think it's like 15 minutes or something. So that bridge is the only bridge that's ever stopped an exploit because that latency became like a feature. So they were able to not process with the validators the like exploit, but like OmniBridge is good from a technical standpoint. As for like other wallets and that, I don't really want to comment on that, Gary, because I feel like there's things that we wouldn't necessarily know about or even be thinking about. And I'm not a lawyer to even comment on those. From like psychology standpoint, yeah, I guess it could be a little concerning for other people, why they wouldn't want to house the money over there. But at the same time, I think there's more to that story than just that.
I mean, I hear you. I'm not going to press you. So let me just say these things without it being addressing you specifically. It's not addressing you specifically. I'm a noob because I've only been in this crypto game since 2017. So I am new. And I remember ICO world. I remember don't call it an ICO anymore because there's legal context around calling it an ICO. Like I remember that, but I wasn't here in 2013 and 14 when basically the foundation of Ethereum needed to raise capital. And out of Silicon Valley, they could have done that very easily, and they did directly with some cash, some VC that was simply a wire transfer. But it was also a communication, and that communication was BTC is worth something on this network. It's worth 2,000 ETH. That's the communication. So, like, it had its launch. It had 2 years of development before it went live with nothing on it, basically. And then, it had its gravitas of community and growth out and all the other stuff that we're more familiar with since 2017. I think that there's messaging there, and I think that it's useful, but it is hard. Like you say, you want to bring in whales, you want to bring in people that move the price chart. Whoever wants to say that, you want to bring together a million people that put $1,000 and raise effectively 1,000 or $1 billion worth of equity on chain. You want to do that? Sure. Let's bring a million people and have them bring $1,000. That'd be awesome. I don't see that in numbers. I don't see that in wallets are growing and all these other kinds of narratives, but I know how many wallets I have, and I assume that a lot of people here have dozens of wallets too. So all I'm getting at is it's a psychological link. We have a psychological link to you sacrificed, it's worth nothing, you got a free airdrop, because it's convenient when we can say those things, and it may be legal and it may be tax beneficial and there may be structure. But I also see Coinbase going through their march. I see their lawyers on Twitter making commentary about what they're submitting. I see chains that are basically going through regulatory arbitrage again and moving to other locations in the world, basically, so they can still operate, right? So, I'm not that naive. We have a link, and the link is to Ethereum is good, but we're better. And we have a link, which is you have a dollar representation on this chain, but look, it's very high transaction cost and it's not as fast. And by the way, we're more secure because we don't go down as often. Like, we have a lot of these things that get promoted as marketing, but it is damn hard to bring millions of dollars into the chain. And it is partly because the psychological messaging, that I hear, and I've heard it 4 times this week from people directly, like not through Twitter conversations, but like hand to mouth, or whatever, mouth person to person conversation, like looking
Hand
on
them out.
chain. Well, I messed up on the words, but you know what I'm saying. So my challenge is, how do I market? Do as I say, not as I do, because that's what they see on chain.
I think what Famous is saying, like the liquidity pools, like you're saying match the ERC20 to the PRC20, right? That's what you're
Yeah, well,
saying.
well, basically we are doing that. But what I'm saying is, if we go look at every time that's happened, like literally the last pump, the last 4 zeros, 4 5, what Ty went and realized was that the pump started from Ethereum, from the Ethereum pulse pair. It didn't start from Pulse Chain. It started from there, and then it gave the opportunity for people to capitalize off of cheap pulse here because they moved the price there. Therefore, people can get cheap. Like, it just gives the opportunity to do more and make more because you have that arbitrage opportunity. But the thing also is that once people are able to reduce the volatility aspect, meaning that if you have 100% of your supply in one place, why can't you take 20 to 30% of that 100%, move it to somewhere else where it decreases the amount of volatility? Why? Well, because their transactions are much higher. It
Right.
costs more to move
Right.
it. So we would technically we would keep the price at that ratio stronger because it would take more willing people to go ahead and change it on that side. But then if you go ahead and change it on Pulse too much, well, then people can make money on that side. So now you're giving this balance to market makers so they can hold a price, not just extract value like they're doing now.
Are you
To
saying
hold.
the impermanent loss is less risky on Pulse Chain compared to ETH? Is that what you're trying to say, or no?
No, the impermanent loss is always the same because of ratios, right? The mathematical aspect of impermanent loss applies to anything, whether it's ERCs paired to PRCs or PRCs to PRCs. It's the same mathematical equation on a V2 pool, right? But what I'm saying is, by bringing that liquidity to the other side, you're actually making it hold that ratio because you're giving the people the option of not transacting because it's high gas transaction fees. Therefore, people are going to go ahead and transact on a thinner
Right.
pool.
Right.
And then they're going to be able to give the market makers the opportunity to say, hey, I just changed the ratio here. go ahead and change it on the other side. Because like why would someone go ahead in a 1% pool, only 1% pool, when you can have two of them? And then you
Mhm.
could have one of the pools literally doing free marketing. Like, why is there $20 million between Pulse and Pulsex on Pulse Chain? It's wonderful. I get the liquidity aspect, but why can't you just take 10 million of that and put it on Uniswap, or 5 million of that? Or it literally probably will cost nothing to the whales to go ahead and take that millions of dollars that already is created due to the way we've paired Pulse and Pulsex, to just scaff that on Uniswap and make it do volume. Just spend the money
Are you
at
saying
whatever
it?
marketing cost,
Yeah.
whatever marketing cost you would like to market Pulse and Pulsex, and you literally have thousands of users and thousands of millions of dollars literally at your forefront for marketing. But no, people would rather just go and do conferences and try to get Bitcoiners that go to a conference. Like, those are not the guys who have the money. Like, you'll never get them. It's not, that doesn't work. It's never worked. It will never work, in
Well,
my
it seems
opinion.
like a lot of people who sacrificed for Pulse, like large whales, they moved all of it over to Pulse, but they're not actually, like it just seems like the liquidity is so low over on ETH now. So what you're saying is like just kind of move it half half.
He's
Is that what you're
saying
trying to
push
say?
some liquidity over to Ethereum so you can extract value from Ethereum through doing it. It's like, when you jump on Dex Tools, right, and you have like
Right.
the top trending pairs, he wants to push over Rat Pulse over to there, which makes sense, right? Like,
Right.
you do value extractions on other chains. Like, it's not uncommon to see those types of things. Like, even when we moved Hex over to Polygon for a while, there was volume on Polygon, right? Because people went over there to trade because it was cheaper. But it put Hex on the map for Polygon.
Yeah,
Right?
but
It's
it
like
seems like so
putting
many people exited Ethereum Hex. Like, I mean, it's just so dead over there.
yeah, but
You know what I mean?
the
But
point
it
is like trying
doesn't
to put
really.
volume on other chains to get
But
attention.
But Ash, that would only be true if you looked at the T-share price, and the T-share price was completely different on one side than the other. But it's literally stayed the same the whole time. So that tells me that the people that brought their money over weren't stakers. So they weren't the people that were like, they weren't contributing to the aspect of Hex, because those who are not really doing a difference. It's not like they're doing it only on one side. Because if everyone was doing that, we would see a change in the numbers, but we don't. So it's either that the ones that are doing it are like literally, like, it's so centralized to the point where only a little group is actually staking, and they're not going to do anything, and that
Right.
the whole masses are just moving, and we think we're moving, but it's like we're such a little piece, which I think it is, because most people bought in after 10 cents, and 10 cents to 50 cents, and then 50 cents back down to 10 cents. So those are all the people, and if you look at it, that's like two zeros more than what the other people did. So they technically bought 100 times more, the people first. So on my end, I'm looking at it like, one, we don't have 40,000 people in this ecosystem. Forget about it. It's 100%. You could just tell by the other programs that we've never reached 40K ever. For the validators, I would like to see more unique validators, because right now there's people pulling that information, and we don't even have 1,000 unique validators, and that's not good. We need more than that. We need much, 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 much more than that.
I'm gonna agree on that, but I will
That's the
say
truth. There's like 800 unique
No, there's
validators.
500. There's like 600 apparently.
less. Yeah, it's like near 600. I don't think it's 600. I think it was like 548 or something.
Yeah, I'm
Wow,
being
so it's
nice.
even
I'm
Yeah,
being
lower
nice,
than
but
what I
Mikey.
thought.
Oh, but I mean,
yeah.
like, to say that though, like, for instance, I'm not gonna say his name because I'll get in trouble. But there's one guy that's running a bunch of validators for a bunch of other people in the community that are doing it together. So it's almost the same as doing like a rocket pool fork, right? But it's just through one guy and he's running a whole bunch of them, which
You
isn't the
talking about
worst thing
David Feeder?
either. But hey,
David Feeder?
Obviously.
no, not David Feeder.
Somebody had
All right.
made a tweet. Well, David had made a tweet that it was just the naming, but it wasn't like he was under his control. But I don't know.
Yeah, that's his graffiti. Like when he does validator store, when he sets those validators up to send out to people, he sets the graffiti up in it. Those individual people that have those can change the graffiti. They just maybe don't know how to either.
That goes to what Richard said with Tone Vase's debate. Like if you're doing the default settings on the Bitcoin narrative, do you remember that stream? But yeah,
Yeah.
default
mm,
settings on validators.
Yeah.
yeah.
I set up my own validator, so I have my own graffiti. But yeah. Yeah. So it's this is an interesting conversation. Yeah, it just doesn't. I don't know. I mean, I think the thing that sounds most appealing to me is just more liquidity pools for more ERC20 pairs. to PRC20. That seems like that's where we're kind of missing something right now. Maybe I'm wrong, but that's what I feel. That's what I'm
But
feeling
we're
like.
already doing that, Ash. We're already doing that. All I'm saying is we can do
But
what we're doing.
larger sizes,
No,
right?
no, no, no. Not even just large. I'm not asking for more. I'm just saying there's no point of having 100% of it here. If we're not going for the numbers where, hey, we have this, like we're not really doing that. I don't think Pulse Chain is literally going and saying, hey, we have out of the 80 million that were bridged in, 50 million of it is in liquidity. Therefore, money's not leaving. Like we're not saying that.
Yeah,
We're
but
really
maybe they're
not.
just keeping the liquidity over on Pulse Chains so that people who don't really believe in it can just wash out for the first year, and then after that, more liquidity will
I can
magically
agree.
appear.
We could assume that, right? We could assume that to a degree
Yeah,
of
that's what we used to hear about the
whatever.
ETH since like day one of the adoption amplifier.
So
That's
it's
what Peter
speculation.
McCormack used to ask.
It's all speculation and theoretical, right? But
Yeah, exactly. But it's what's
whatever
for sure
hopium you
though.
need, right?
But Ash, what is for sure? What's for sure is what we're doing on Pulse Chain can be done on Ethereum. And what does that mean? It means the fact that we're taking ERC20s, running them through a bridge, creating a PRC20 wrapped version of it, and then pairing it to the PRC20s.
Mm.
It's the same thing can be done where we take the PRC20s, put them in the bridge, and create an ERC20 and then pair it to value. And in my opinion, it becomes less risky. Who's going to rob a bridge filled with no valuable coins? Who? They've only
So
robbed bridges with the value.
why aren't people doing that then?
But man, it's we're the pioneers of this. This is the first time it's ever been done where you've been able to build the value and liquidity of a chain on someone else's chain. They tried to do it. BNB tried to do it with BNB, and guess what? Go see if there's a BNB pool on Ethereum. There's none because they realized the way they did it, they got to suck all the value out and then create their own value, and that's what they did. And now they're not even tied to Ethereum Binance. They're not. They have nothing on Ethereum to move their price. And that's how we should eventually end up. But the only way to get there is to then take a pool and make people pay, like suck the extraction from Ethereum, which is technically what Ethereum wants us to do, technically. Because they don't want us to be there. They just want Ethereum. Ethereum, we just want it to be a place of development that costs a shitload of money to make money. That's the whole point of it. We don't, no real Ethereum guy wants to have NFTs and billions of people transacting all day long. No, shit's gonna get too expensive. Like, hence the past. Hence what's gonna happen in this bull market. But like, I feel like we can do the exact same thing, take the load off the volatility in Pulse Chain because Pulse Chain is equals volatility right now. Take off the load of the volatility to where it actually is more valuable. It's more valuable to extract from Ethereum than to maintain the value on Pulse. It's so much more beneficial for us. Like you wouldn't need to maintain anything if you were flowing money in. The money's not flowing in. Yeah, okay, we're positive. Why? Well, yeah, because there's money on Pulse Chain. That's the only reason why we're positive. The
But why isn't
numbers
it,
don't align.
what I don't understand is why isn't anyone promoting what you're saying?
Because it's the same reason why people were promoting to do nothing on launch. It's the same reason. Inexperience, and they don't know what the they're doing.
Okay.
Literally, it's the inexperience has nothing to do with they don't know what they're doing. The inexperience is that they never were there at the BNB fork, the Phantom fork, the AVAX fork. They were never there at the beginning. They never provided the liquidity and got it robbed from them. That's what I'm saying. They never
Does
did that.
anyone want to play devil's advocate to Famous's argument? I just
I,
want to maybe hear like what someone would say why you wouldn't want to do that.
I usually play devil's advocate, but I mean, he is like more so right, so it's like hard for me to. Like, I
All
usually
right.
am the one that'll bicker back with Famous.
Yeah, I mean, I just like to hear both sides, right? I mean, I like to hear if someone has like an opposing view too. I mean, I get what he's saying. I just it doesn't seem like anyone's doing that, and so I just want to hear, is there anyone out there willing to say, I don't want to do that and why?
The opposing view would be like speculation right now, saying like thin liquidity isn't necessarily a bad thing because same as like back in early hex days, right? Like compare it to something that you guys all know. Look back at early hex days when liquidity got thinner, it equaled more volatility. So if you're like considering what Pulse Chain's doing right now, it's thinner liquidity, which means it has the
Yeah, but
ability
thinner
to have more
liquidity
better price movements.
makes it pump more, right?
Yeah,
yeah,
that's like the
but you
counter
need but
argument to Famous, but I
But you
mean at
need
the same
but you
time,
need dry powder. You can't have
yeah,
you can't tell me
exactly.
there's more money
Bingo.
in liquidity. There's more money in LP than there is dry powder. So how do you even expect it to pump? you would have to fuck with ratios, and that's not good
No,
because
I'm
you're
saying like remember low liquidity means when more buys and buys happen, it pumps a lot harder,
Yeah, but
right?
like you
Yeah.
need more
So
money coming over the bridge to pump it, right? Like you need value to come in to be able to buy up with that low liquidity.
or else we're just gonna be jerking
I
ourselves off between
Well,
Pulse,
I
Pulse
mean,
X, and Hex. That's
And
what
then you
literally it's gonna.
shiny object of the week.
yeah, but I'm
No,
just
but
saying like like let's say hypothetically the liquidity gets, cut to in a fourth, right? Like it just goes down 4 times on Pulse Chain. Don't you think the demand remaining the same, that price would not just astronomically pump?
we'll know if the bridged in assets keep decreasing like it's been doing lately. I don't see why there's would be buying. There's no potential for buying because you're decreasing you're the it's like as if you're decreasing the LP, but what's decreasing is literally the opportunity of buy. It's not like the LP is decreasing and the money is actually gaining on the sideline, because then your theory of, hey, it's better to have a thinner liquidity because the volatility will be better in our favor upwards, I would agree with you, but you don't see the balance of money bridged in and then money in LP and money on the sideline. It's actually money on the sideline keeps decreasing. People don't realize this, but we keep losing
Right.
ETH and Bitcoin in the bridge. Yes, okay, we're staying between 77 million and 85 million, but it's more and more and more stable coins being dominant. And then now we have almost 20
Yep.
million dollars paired by, anyways, I don't want
So
to,
people must just be waiting for green candles. That's just sitting there, right?
That
because it's
could be
that
it.
easy to trade. It's that easy to go from Ethereum onto Pulse Chain. If someone says, yeah, but the $20-$30, bro, a whale doesn't give a fuck if he's moving 50 grand. It literally costs me $30 to go make a check just to go buy a house now. It's like, literally people don't get it. People who spend money to make money are used to spending money to go and make money. So the little 30, 40, $100 fee on the bridge on the each side is not going to stop someone from bringing in money into Pulse Chain.
Yeah.
It's going to
What
stop
are your
the
thoughts on
broke guy to do it.
all these new assets being built though? So it's less money coming in and more assets being, so more supply, less demand.
Mm-hmm.
They're
Well,
stealing from us.
more of a, like you could just rotate the money differently. And if you look at it, it's like, oh well, this week look who's the number one pool, Pulse X and Pulse Pair. It's like why?
Exactly.
And then the next
Hey,
week is
look,
like X and Pulse Pair. It's like, oh wow, look at that. It's literally like a rotational. Like, hey man, just take
That
your
was
gold
that was
bars
my
and
debate with the whole other Tropa situation. When I was looking at the LPs just moving from one to the next, and I was like, "Well, this is not positive, man. There's not new money coming into the same assets. It's like new assets being built, and then the same LP just being
oh,
moved from
I
one to
want
one."
execute. Join the conversation, dude.
I was
Please.
about to say,
So,
Execute's got his hands up. We also
yeah.
call him Double O Click. He hates Richard. He floods Richard every fucking day.
Double O click. It's
Every
true.
fucking day.
He's
He's
fucking.
also a
I love
Dominican,
Richard.
but then he also hates Jack too, because he's all about first principles, but I don't think he knows what first principles are. So, but go
Love
ahead.
Richard.
Yep. See ya.
And can I just say one thing? You guys are talking about ratio and moving it around, but you guys do realize that what you just described is literally the whole entire market, and that's what people do literally in crypto. It's what whales do. They'll go through every single cycle that there is, and whatever hasn't pumped, they'll go move their money and assets into it. Like they literally just ratio around the whole entire market. People FOMO in, they exit, they go find the next thing. That's like literally the whole entire industry. Like moving money around through ratios isn't a bad thing. It's just getting into the ratio before somebody else moves it. Like, yeah. I mean, it's
Look at the
not
Sack Wallet.
unique to
Hey, look
Pulse
at the
Chain.
moves the Sack Wallet did back in the day.
Yep. Makes sense. All right. Well, talk to you. Talk to you. I'm going to listening. Thanks, guys.
I was just going to chime in about what you guys were talking about earlier with pulling liquidity from one side to the other. I was around during early hex days. I know how Richard works. I don't hate Richard. I think the whole Ethereum pulse chain thing, I think it's being done on purpose, obviously. I think in the future, the price performance is going to come on Ethereum, and then he's going to let all the clubs pretty much arb using the bridge to come in, and then also nuke their account when they come in and just kind of, well, not nuke their account, but kind of arb them on the pulse chain side too, because he can control the network. But if you can make like 3 to 6% over the bridge, it's definitely profitable. So that's what he's going to do. He's going to pump the wrapped PLS. He's going to wait for people to bridge in assets, buy the cheap stuff, and try to bring it back to Ethereum, or vice versa. And it's the exact same thing. He's going to make people do all the work. It's just you got to let people lose money before you can start to do the things that it needs to do for the network. And people are like super salty about it. Like I've been tweeting since like day one. I'm like, it's technically we're not going up until we hit 86% low on Pulsechain, which is like that's where the whales break even or stop breaking even. Until we don't get that 86% low, I think it's bearish. Like I'll get bullish after the 86%, but until then, I don't think anybody on this network is going to do anything other than the builders. And yeah, that's a whole different topic because most of the builders are fucking garbage. Yeah.
I love
I was
execute,
just
man.
saying something and that just made me laugh. To get to 86%, though, you need some other FUD thing. Like, I don't think we're going to go much lower than what we are because
No, I
people
think
just start to in
86%,
value.
Katie, 86% would be 4 zeros and a 2 or 4 zeros and a 1 8 or something like that.
But
I
didn't we
think
Yeah, it's
already go down 85
4018,
or
I believe.
84?
183.
183, right?
Good
Yeah.
chart.
I think it could go to 4. I think it could go to 5 and an 8. And if it does that, it's gonna be one hell of some stats. It's gonna burn a shitload. It's gonna do a lot of good. I think
Are we
and
talking
as a
about
whale, I would
Pulse?
want that, huh?
You're talking
What?
about Pulse, right?
Yeah, yeah, Pulse or Pulsex, because they're both at that. Because they're the way that the V1 is working, it's just burning benevolently. It's doing that. So like, I feel like if I was in a position, I would want the fifth zero. Like I would personally want it in the history books to have that fifth zero because the fifth zero literally is an automatic 1000x. Literally, like it's an
You
automatic.
want
It's
me
like,
to? You don't want me
uh,
to hit that price?
dude, I'm being
Well,
honest.
not
I'll
Like
get
I think
going.
that
annoying.
that's
No.
it's literally like the easiest. It's easier to do a 1000x off of the 5 zeros than it would have been to do it from 3 zeros. It's
So
so much
how
easier.
is it that how is it that when we were talking about that stuff at the end of 2021, everyone was saying that we were so wrong and the price was just gonna pump?
Because they were idiots and they literally
I
said
was
that Hex was.
Because they were
I was there with
scammers,
you, and
ID.
people were saying that there was gonna be like complete like we were like talking of like not even the grandiose. People were saying that we were gonna pump right away, that all the money was gonna switch, that people were gonna buy things, that the wallet there's $1 billion ready to pump Pulse Chain, and it was like no, not the way you guys are acting. No money's gonna be bridged over. It's just
Right.
literally gonna be an extraction. And that's when you made me think like, oh shit, it actually is gonna be an extraction. Like
Uh,
they're setting themselves up for
it was just
extraction.
it
Number
was
one,
at the end of
don't do anything.
21. Like they just like something shifted in the air. Like I swear it felt like it's like all of a sudden all the questions that were coming in was like, oh well, I have some sheep or I have some sand or I have some this or I have some that. How do I get my pulse to get that? And I was like, all right, well, remember when that episode that Richard said, all right, well, 10,000 flowers bloom? When I was like, holy shit, that's where all the pulse is going to go because day one, we're going to have all the pulse. So the weak hands are going to do lettuce hands things. They're just going to go for the bridge or go for the pulse or, I mean, for the PRCs or
Yeah, but
maybe even go for hex.
you're also
Uh-huh.
So
really in
I'm
the
gonna
early
bite
days.
back on you guys and say no. I don't think it's gonna go lower. I'll be the old one out in the room. Totally fine. We're already gone down from top to bottom. That's like below SEC FUD. Like the red candle that went right down was 88%. We're not going no. If you like look at the fib lines right now, we're back in value. If it makes it like all time low and it falls out of that value line, then maybe we can go back down. But if we're going to go down past 88%, like even I would get a little bit more bearish because that's a huge drop down from where we are
Yeah.
right now. And it's just, I don't see it happening.
Well,
So
if we keep if
I
Katie,
don't
if
think
we
you're
keep
going to
losing
get your
100 ETH
price
per day,
target there, boy.
if we keep
It'll
losing
be
the ETH, like
slow.
we went from 55 Bitcoin, now we're at 52, and we were at almost 7,000 Ethereum when we're at 6,000. If we continue losing at that rate, yeah, we're definitely going down, Katie. Like we're
Yeah, but
And
definitely
like,
going down.
there's a point
you guys
where
are
I'm not a
also
huge TA person, but TA does hold weight. And like, if you're going to go back down again to test those levels that we went down to the 88% from the top, that's another like 39% drop from where we are right now. And that's
yeah.
like,
Have you
we're already
Okay.
making
look at
new
all
It,
lows
the
right
it's
now. We're
lit,
making the
but yeah, but Katie,
formation.
it's literally,
Uh,
literally what is in LL. One bad move from the whales, and that 30 to 40% drop is easy because you have almost half of the stable coin, and you're gonna feel people are gonna feel so much impermanent loss. And who you think is gonna get that impermanent loss? The makers. They're literally gonna get everything, and then how you think they're just gonna stand there? Like it's either the makers or literally the whales, and they're like, bro, I can't buy more pulse, so the only way is to take it from people. So let me fucking add another zero so I can get more, because that's the
what
only
do
way
you
they're gonna get
mean
it. They think it's
mistake? Back up for
like
1 second. What mistake are people going to make in liquid loans that you think is going to create huge impermanent loss like that?
That's just
Are you
if
talking
most
about
if,
depegging USDL or are you talking about liquidations?
well, I think that the aspect of activating the redemptions like not too fast. I mean, like if the value of the coin, because right now I see the coin fluctuating between the DAI and the wrap pulse, and people are arbing between
Mm-hmm.
both of them at
Yeah,
the
they
pace
are.
that they're rebuying back the pulse through their loans. So like I see that at some point, some people might get like this is the also the Hexican curse, where it's people make the money and then somehow they tell people how they did it, and then those people have to scream it to everyone, and then that's the plan. That's
Yeah,
the plan, because then that's when that
that's
one
so true.
person makes so much money off of the mistakes of everyone because everyone's doing it, and then boom, it could just drop instantly, like there's
Yeah, but like
70 something percent of it being staked. You know what I
that
mean?
type
So
of
like,
yeah, but that type of thing is really difficult in liquid loans because liquidations in liquid loans doesn't like affect the price chart because it goes to the stability pool providers because they act as the guarantor. So if there's liquidations, like the wrap PLS goes to those holders and then those holders pay the
yeah,
debt for
I
the
agree.
vaults
So
that get
there's no
liquidated.
downward, yeah, but there's no
Like there is no
downward pressure.
downward pressure. And as for
Yeah,
arbitraging between the stables, like that's totally fine. And the
I
2 week
agree.
thing with the stable coin, the only reason why I'm totally okay with the 2 weeks, like we had the same thing when I was with Power City back in the day when we were talking about it because it's written into the liquidities code that they had the 14-day period. And like there was a huge discussion saying, is 2 weeks enough? Because it's a newly launched chain. These are highly like volatile times. Liquidity is thin. Like, is there ever going to be enough liquidity to stabilize it? Versus redemptions, versus all the other different factors that you have to take into account, right? But then you look at where did liquidity launch as well? They launched at the top of the market, which had the most volatility, which was the
Uh,
hardest to
but I
get
don't
vaults
like
opened
comparing.
in liquidity.
I don't
And
like
that
comparing that.
stablecoin didn't completely depeg because of the mechanics built into it. Like
Yeah,
people will
but there's
always
also
redeem.
yeah, but I don't like comparing it because it's completely in two different stages of economy. It's like the difference of the money makes a big difference of how the pressure is put on that system. So like liquidity and liquid loans is it's like one's a midget and the other one's a giant. Literally, like it doesn't
But
matter
when you
about the
compare
money.
where they launched in the cycle, no, because less people were inclined to open up vaults over on Ethereum because it was the top of the cycle. And like ETH bros, you can say what you want, but they're not dumb.
That's not,
But that's
hey,
why
that's not
liquidity doesn't look great.
actually true though. Because if you look at Liquidity in April of 2021, it took 660,000 Ethereum to balance out the Liquidity protocol. That's more Ethereum than Vitalik Buterin owns. It took 660,000
I know
ETH.
that's why they're
They got
huge, bro.
wrecked. They got wrecked.
But that's
Yeah,
the
but
recovery. I
people
would
are
like to
getting
see
wrecked
how
on
many.
Pulse Chain.
Yeah, but another thing too,
Yeah, no
Katie, is
shit.
like I go
No
look at the
shit,
stats
Katie.
on liquid
Yeah,
loans.
no shit.
I go
Like,
look at the stats on liquid loans. Maybe you should tell them to fix this, or I don't know if they can, because I don't understand how you can unliquidate someone, right? So like the statistics of the page is telling me that over the days, people have like literally lost like they've lost the liquidation, or the guy's unliquidated himself. So I don't even see who's been recovered and who's been liquidated. Like, because to me, I think a lot of people actually got recovered because they don't know what they're doing because they're just listening to people saying, "Oh, I could do this in ARB." And then in the mornings, this is also another fascinating thing. When you're going to bed and I'm waking up, that's when everything is really happening because these guys are actually doing certain things. And Ty realized that how many people who are holding USDL have never minted it. They've never minted it. They just keep making. They
but
just
we
keep.
already knew that because go
I
look at how
know,
many
but
people
that's a
use
problem.
testnet on liquid
But
loans. It was like a
but
couple of hundred people
but if you
maximum
can't
use
see the
liquid
problem
loans
in that,
testnet.
if you can't see the problem in that,
Of
right?
course I can. I sat on stream saying these people don't know what they're doing. Like you can
But
use
he's making
liquid
money.
loans to exit a
He's
position, but
stealing the
these
money
people
from the
aren't doing
mentors.
that. Like they're
He,
sitting at risky ass vaults and they're dropping the total collateral ratio health of the protocol to like scary levels. Like if we had that 40% dip in the price and retouch back down at like SEC levels, instantaneously like the total collateral ratio health of the protocol would fall to 150%. Then all these people would be liquidated because the new like collateral like ratio backing threshold is 150%. So like there is literally hundreds of vaults that will be liquidated.
but we're gonna
Like
need like 10 $20 million worth of actual sales on the right places to change the right ratios to actually hit that level, which is not much if we've just created almost double that value in stable coins in 2 weeks.
yeah, but I
Like
mean
you
like
know, This can
That's
happen after
fair.
Christmas. Like
Yeah, they're
after
conversations that are fair. Like I've had them myself. And yes, after Christmas, there is a huge chance there's another dip. And I said that too. Like January area after Christmas, there's always a big sell off because everybody spends more than they can afford.
I think
So
it's when we're
sitting
gonna
with
hit 40.
130% collateral in a vault is not safe right now. It's not a good idea.
Yeah, but like another problem which I see is like imagine the stable coin value of the system will almost become 50% of it will be because of what ratios were created with Pulse. So at one point, Katie, it's gonna be so easy to dump the price. Like it's gonna because it you could dump the price. You already made
Exactly.
the money. You already made the money. I already made the dollar. The dollar already exists. And the
Are you
ratios are
talking
Imagine if
about
built
there
for the
was
dollar.
USDL?
imagine if there was also a leverage platform that could help you dump the price.
Oh fuck! Imagine. Well, or you could,
Bingo.
or you could like, what's the
Wait till
word? You
Iron
can even
Protocol
out your
comes
odds
out.
and say like, well, I could just do a counter bet off myself after this. Execute, just intervene, man. You don't have to be
No, but I mean,
you know.
like that's what we were saying. Like back at, like I said, like that's why I did those videos in October of 21. And like, I mean, I know that it created so much drama, but it's the reason that I got banned.
It's
And
because too Latino, bro.
well, I mean, it just my what pissed me off is that I knew that there was going to be problems with that situation, and I mean, we were seeing it. So I wanted to have some debate. I wasn't trying to just be an asshole.
People selling USDL doesn't hurt the price of Pulse.
What?
Unless
No,
it's
I mean,
new
I cared
LPs.
more about
What are
like
you
the people
talking
that
about?
I guess I cared more about the people that didn't know what they were doing and
What I
were
mean,
getting
Katie, is
liquidated.
like, what I mean, Katie, is that if right now people have been, if right now people are gaining USDL in their wallets by not minting it, it means that they've been arbing the system. So then at one
Yeah.
point, they can literally just sell the USDL, right? Dilute the ratio completely because whatever's in the pool is like what? Let's say $5, $10 million USDL, like literally 10 million USDL. Oh well, the system just minted 40 million of it. Now someone has it, has been trading it, and these people have nothing on the line, right? Because they just go in, out, in, out, in, out. Like I did this for the last day and a half, just USDL and DAI, and made a crazy percentage. So imagine what the big boys are doing, and then from that they could just dump the market, make the prices go low, use that USDL, put it in the stability pool, and laugh and close their eyes and just click the button and like look at all the pulse just
Yep.
coming back into their wallets, and they don't have to sell it. No, of course not, but they could use what they created to acquire it. You understand? It's like easier than spending your money. It's like, no, no, keep your money, but just acquire the degeneracy of everyone else. So just
But
help their degeneracy. Just promote the
yeah, I'm
Hey,
gonna
degeneracy.
play
don't
devil's
leave out
advocate
the
and just
$52
say,
million in stables they took from the community
yeah,
that
we're
are.
not caring about that. He's talking about people leveraging the protocol to make money. And like at the end of the day, if somebody found how to do
No,
that,
we
why do
are
you
caring about
care?
that. We care because these
There's,
people
but you
robbed
be the
I
us.
best
did
friend.
2 years
People
ago.
do that all day, every day.
Katie,
There's no difference
literally,
between
They
doing
robbed
that and
us.
arbitraging for
Katie,
CST when
I
CST
can name you
deviates
on
and then
two
redeeming
hands.
it
I
for
can
lower.
name you two hands of the people in bed with three protocols and three specific communities that on the palm of my hands with 10 fingers, I could provide to you $100 million worth of selling. I could provide you that. Literally, I could give you that. They have that possibility. They have that much pulse to go then change a bit and then get whatever they need to dump your price by half. They literally have it. Why?
Yeah, I
Because
have
the
one of the biggest whales on speed dial. Talk to him every
it
day.
doesn't matter if he
What's
goes
your
ahead and
point?
dumps the stable coin, it's so much better. It's always a dollar. It always stays a dollar. It's not like you're trading Hex and Pulse where someone can just change the ratio on another one and you just did a mistake as a trade. You can't with the denominator is one and will always be one. This is why I always go into maths. When you're doing ratio trading with a denominator that changes its value between 0 and infinity, you have so many more outcomes than if you just keep it at 1 because then you only need to change the numerator. And I know you understand. People might not understand, but the opportunities of doing stuff is so much easier when you have that stable coin. And to dump the price would be so much easier because it's actually the value. It's you're telling the system, hey, I'm making a value, right? Now my value is literally half of what you were able to provide. Bro, that's with like a percent, like a 0.001% of the coins. Like how much is 1 trillion? It's one divided by, it's 1%, giving more than 50% of what's backing it. Do you see I see a massive problem. Massive problem as an investor who wants to bring in money. Bro, I was like, bro, these people just created 100 times the value. What the fuck? Like, how did they just do that? Oh, we just made it a protocol and gave fake value to this coin, which we have thousands of them, and everyone owns a percentage of the protocol. And then now we created this fake value, which is 50% of what's backing the other value. Holy fuck, man. You're just literally washing money and just, it's like you're literally taking a mirror, putting it on a table, taking $100 bill and looking at the guy and saying, look, there's 200. You're literally doing that. And there's gonna be consequential effects of that economically. And it's gonna
You're
happen
not
soon.
doing that because the way the protocol works is you're locking up $1 and minting. Well, it's not like locking up $1; it's more than $1, and then you're minting $1 in return. Like, you're taking money out of the assets that you're locking away. So you're taking money off the market and minting out money. Like,
But
that's not really
but
how it works. You're not minting money out of thin air. It's not like when you're
they
playing
just no no
ratios
no
with a
no
new
Katie
token and math
Katie.
cap.
Mathematically and
Execute, you
economically,
can
you
jump
have
into. Me and Famous will
$80
just
million.
argue.
You have $80 million backing $30 million that just created almost 20 million of stable. So you're telling me
Sorry
that
to jump in
one
when you guys
fourth
don't shut
of
the
the
fuck up.
stable value has been created by the other three-fourths. That's problematic. That's super problematic in a sense of like, well, then what can happen? I'm just gonna go right now and I'm gonna check the USDL pools and I'll tell you, and I can calculate exactly how much needs to be dumped on the market, which is probably half of what's being staked. And then boom, everyone's liquidated.
I just want to go back on like the whole price prediction and back in the day when like Pulsechain was bullish. All the metrics completely changed in my opinion because we went from being a cap supply to inflation. And so the metrics, that's why I'm predicting it's going down 86%. Before, I thought it would do like maybe a 40 to 60% when I had the cap supply plus the Weinberg, but now it's not so bullish. And I mean, until we get that going down. And when it comes to charts and all that shit Katie was talking about earlier, in the RH ecosystem, I think all of that is complete garbage. You can't have a fork. I've never participated. I put out a poll the other day, and I was like, name one fork you jumped into, and every single side of the coin went down since the fork. Usually, when forks happen, one side swings up to the right, or in Richard's idea, he just wanted to stay like at price parity, which that also didn't happen. So we got like a shit show on 4 to 5 fronts now, 4 coins going completely shit down. So the metrics, like even with Hex, you can't have somebody own 95% of the supply, 10% staked for 7 years, and it still dumps by 99%. It's the metrics just don't add up there, and that's also after getting the whole ecosystem to buy back the price and give it back to the owner, like twice. So it's like the metrics on that you can't even there's no fib for that bullshit. In this ecosystem, we have an overlord, so it's up to him to do what he wants to do. And yeah, that's how we roll. It's a cult, right? And the buddy that was talking about being banned from the ecosystem, you have to understand you are in a cult. You have to abide by the rules, or you will get booted. I got banned and blocked, but by everybody, the exact same thing. Just because
Can
I
you
said Hex
stop
was going
shitting on
fucking
my cult?
at 50%. No, it's a good cult. I'm a part of it. I like it.
I am
I'm like
preparing my lunch dinner speech